The United Earth Council chamber was filled with leaders from every major nation. They watched in silence as Do-Yun and his team showed footage from the Void Dominion base. "This is what they're making with human blood," Do-Yun said, projecting images of the hemosteel weapons. "And they plan to attack Earth to get more of it." Jun stood beside him, his face grim. "The Galactic Alliance has refused to help us. Some of their members are secretly working with the Void Dominion." The room erupted with angry voices. The council president raised her hand for silence. "How much time do we have before they attack?" she asked. Tahoe stepped forward. Though many humans still feared aliens, he had earned their respect by helping rescue Suma and the others. "Based on their ship movements, I estimate 2 weeks," he said. "They are gathering their forces near Saturn." "What can we do?" asked the defense minister. "If their armor and weapons are as powerful as you say, our current technology can't stop them." A woman stood up from her seat near the back of the room. She was in her early 40s, with short black hair and sharp eyes. "We fight fire with fire," she said, "or in this case, blood with blood." "Who are you?" asked the council president. "Minji Park. I lead the Advanced Weapons Division." She walked to the front of the room. "If the Void Dominion can make weapons from our blood, so can we." Suma, who had recovered her strength, nodded in agreement. "Minji is right. I've been studying the hemosteel sample we brought back. I think I can reproduce it and improve it," Minji added. "They don't understand human biology like we do. We can make our version of hemosteel even better." The council debated for hours. Some wanted to try to negotiate with the Void Dominion. Others suggested asking other alien races for help. In the end, they voted to follow Minji's plan. Within days, a secret facility was set up in the mountains. Volunteers gave blood samples, which Schumann and her team used to create Earth's first hemosteel. Do-Yun watched as Shuni worked. His sister had changed since her captivity. She was more serious, more driven. "Will it work?" he asked her. Suma held up a small container of dark liquid metal. "See for yourself." She poured the liquid onto a table. It formed a perfect sphere, then stretched into a long rod, then shaped itself into a knife, all without her touching it. "How are you controlling it?" Do-Yun asked, amazed. "With this." Schumann showed him a small device on her wrist. "It sends electrical signals that the hemosteel responds to. But we're working on a direct neural interface." Across the facility, Minji was training soldiers to use the first hemosteel armor. Unlike the Void Dominion version, which covered the entire body, Earth's armor was lighter, covering only vital areas. "Mobility is our advantage," Minji explained to her troops. "Their soldiers rely too much on their armor's strength. We'll use speed and surprise." Meanwhile, Jun and Hyun worked with Tahoe to identify which Galactic Alliance members might still be friendly to Earth. Using secure channels, they sent messages asking for support. "Some will help," Tahoe told them. "Not all of the Alliance agrees with the decision to abandon Earth." On the 10th day of preparation, the early warning system detected movement. The Void Dominion fleet had left Saturn and was heading toward Earth. "They're coming earlier than expected," Jun reported to the council. Minji looked at her assembled forces. They had only a few thousand soldiers equipped with the new hemosteel technology. "It will have to be enough," she said firmly. "We have something they don't expect." "What's that?" asked Do-Yun. Minji smiled grimly. "They think our blood makes us weak, something to be harvested. They don't understand that humans have always turned their weaknesses into strength. Iron doesn't make us fragile. It makes us strong." As the Void Dominion ships approached Earth, humanity prepared for a battle unlike any in its history, a battle they would fight with their own blood. The large silver ship landed in the middle of the United Nations Plaza on a sunny day in April 2157. People gathered around, their faces showing both fear and wonder. This was the day that would change human history forever, the day Earth met its first visitors from another world. Jum Kim straightened his blue uniform and took a deep breath. As Earth's top diplomat, he had been chosen to greet the aliens. His hand shook slightly, but his face remained calm. "Remember your training," his assistant whispered. "Just follow the protocol." June nodded. Years of preparation had led to this moment. The aliens had sent messages ahead, calling themselves the Norians, representatives of something called the Galactic Alliance. They said they came in peace. A door opened on the side of the ship with a soft hiss. 3 tall figures stepped out. They had smooth, pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer in the sunlight. Their eyes were large and silver, with no visible pupils. They moved with grace, as if the Earth's gravity barely affected them. "Welcome to Earth," Jun said, giving a small bow. "I am Jum Kim, representing the United Earth government." The tallest alien stepped forward. "I am Tahoe, lead scientist of the Norian exploration team. We bring greetings from the Galactic Alliance." Their voices sounded musical, almost like singing. June noted how the aliens spoke perfect English, though with an accent that made certain words flow together. Over the next few days, the aliens met with world leaders. They explained that humans were not alone in the galaxy. There were hundreds of intelligent species, many with space travel. The Galactic Alliance united most of these worlds. On the 3rd day, something strange happened. During a routine medical exchange, Tahoe asked to see human medical data. The Earth doctors proudly showed their advanced techniques and knowledge of human biology. When they displayed information about human blood, Tahoe froze. "This cannot be correct," the alien said, the musical quality gone from his voice. "You carry iron inside your bodies." Dr. Hyun, the head human doctor, nodded. "Yes, our blood uses hemoglobin, an iron-based protein, to carry oxygen through our bodies. Is that unusual?" Tahoe stepped back. "Iron is toxic to most intelligent life in the galaxy. We use copper-based systems. Some species use silicon. But iron—" He turned to his assistants and spoke rapidly in their language. June noticed the mood in the room had changed. The aliens now looked at the humans with what seemed like fear. "Is something wrong?" June asked. Tahoe composed himself. "No, it is simply unexpected. In our experience, iron is a dangerous element for biological systems. It is reactive. It rusts. No known intelligent species uses it internally." Dr. Hyun smiled. "Well, now you've met one. It's actually very efficient for our biology." Later that evening, Jun found Tahoe studying human blood samples in the lab. "You seem troubled by our biology," Jun said. Tahoe looked up. "Your kind is unique, Jum Kim. You literally have metal flowing through your veins. Most species in the Alliance would consider this terrifying." "Why terrifying? It's just how we evolved." "You don't understand," Tahoe said quietly. "In our history there are old stories, warnings about creatures with iron blood, warriors that could not be stopped, beings that could survive in places where others would die." June laughed. "We're hardly unstoppable warriors. We're just people. Perhaps." Tahoe turned back to the microscope. "Or perhaps you humans don't yet understand what you are capable of." That night, as June filed his report, he couldn't stop thinking about Tahoe's words. He watched from his office window as the alien ship gleamed under the moonlight. The news was already spreading across human networks. Aliens had arrived, and they were afraid of human blood. People were making jokes about it online, but Jun felt uneasy. He didn't know it yet, but this simple biological difference would soon change humanity's place in the universe forever. Hyun hadn't slept in 3 days. She worked in her lab with Tahoe, running test after test on human blood samples. Outside, protesters gathered near the alien embassy. Some humans were angry about the quarantine talks. Others were scared of the strange ships that now orbited Earth. "Look at this," Hyun said, pointing to her screen. Tahoe moved closer, his silver eyes widening. The screen showed how human blood cells changed when exposed to different atmospheric conditions. Unlike alien blood, Human blood adapted quickly. "This is amazing," Tahoe said. "Your blood cells can change their oxygen binding capacity. This is why humans can climb mountains or dive underwater." "Is this unusual?" Hyun asked. "Very. Most species need special equipment to survive even small changes in their environment." Just then, Jinsu entered the lab. He was a medical researcher who had been helping them. "I have the test results," he said, placing a tablet on the table. The human volunteers survived in all 5 atmospheric chambers. Tahoe picked up the tablet with his gloved hands. "Impossible. Chamber 4 had almost no oxygen. Humans can train their bodies to use less oxygen," Jinsu explained. "Deep sea divers do it all the time." Hyun smiled. "And Chamber 5? The one with toxic gas?" They felt sick but survived the full hour. Their blood actually started binding with the toxins, filtering them out. Tahoe stepped back. "This changes everything. Your iron blood doesn't just carry oxygen, it protects you. It adapts. No wonder ancient species feared iron-blooded creatures." Hyun began typing a report. "We need to share this with the Alliance Council. Show them that our biology isn't something to fear. It's something that could help everyone." Within hours, their findings were sent to the Galactic Alliance. June presented their research during an emergency video meeting with the Council. He explained how human blood could adapt to conditions that would kill most aliens. "Humans don't just survive," June told the Council. "We find ways to thrive in harsh conditions. This doesn't make us dangerous. It makes us useful allies." Some Council members seemed impressed. Others remained doubtful. But the quarantine vote was delayed, giving Earth more time. After the meeting, June called Hyun. "Good work. They're listening to us now." "There's more," Hyun said excitedly. "Tahoe and I tested how human blood reacts with certain metals. The iron in our blood can actually strengthen some alloys. We might be able to create new materials that—" Her voice suddenly cut off. "Hyun, are you there?" June asked. He heard a crash, then silence. Miles away, in a hidden base deep in the mountains, members of the Void Dominion watched footage of Hyun's lab. "The humans are more valuable than we thought," their commander said. "Their blood doesn't just adapt. It can be used to create new technologies." A scientist nodded. "If we can harness the properties of their blood, we could develop weapons and materials unlike anything in the galaxy." "Begin the operation," the commander ordered. "Bring me human specimens, especially this one." He pointed to an image of Suma, a metallurgist who had been working with Hyun's team. Back in Seoul, Jun tried desperately to reach Hyun. When she finally answered, her voice was shaking. "Someone broke into the lab," she said. "They took all our research and samples." "Were you hurt?" Jun asked. "No, but Jinsu was knocked unconscious. And Suma, they took Suma." Jun felt a chill. Who would do this? Tahoe, who had been hiding during the attack, spoke up. "I recognize their technology. It was the Void Dominion. They're a dangerous faction that broke away from the Alliance years ago. If they're interested in human blood, it cannot be for peaceful reasons." Jun looked out his window at the alien ships in the sky. The situation had just become much more dangerous for everyone. The sky turned dark as the Void Dominion ships entered Earth's atmosphere. There were 12 massive warships and dozens of smaller fighters. They positioned themselves over major cities around the world. In the command center beneath Seoul, Minji watched the screens with Do-yeon and the other leaders. "They're starting with a show of force," she said, "trying to scare us into giving up." A message came through on all communication channels. The face of the Void Dominion commander appeared on the screens. "People of Earth," he said, his voice cold. "Your blood is valuable to us. Surrender, and we will take only what we need. Resist, and we will take everything." The Earth Council president stepped forward to reply. "We will not surrender. Humans are not a resource to be harvested." The commander smiled. "Then we will take what we want." The first attack came minutes later. Thousands of Void Dominion soldiers dropped from the ships, their hemosteel armor flowing around them like dark water. They landed in cities across the globe. Now, Minji ordered. Earth's defenders emerged from hiding places. They wore lighter armor than the invaders, with hemosteel covering only their chests, arms, and legs. They moved faster, more agile. In Seoul, Do-yeon led a squad against a group of enemy soldiers. The Void Dominion troops fired weapons that shot streams of liquid metal, hardening into spikes in midair. "Remember your training," Do-yeon called to his team. "Don't let them surround you." The human defenders used their speed to outmaneuver the enemy. When the alien troops fired their weapons, the humans' lighter hemosteel armor shifted to absorb or deflect the attacks. Sumi monitored the battle from the command center, making adjustments to the hemosteel programming. "Our armor is working," she reported. "It's adapting faster than theirs." In orbit, Jun and Taho had another mission. They led a small fleet of ships toward the Void Dominion command vessel. With them were allies from 3 alien species who had broken away from the Galactic Alliance to help Earth. "The Alliance is fracturing," Taho told Jun as their ship dodged enemy fire. "Many worlds now question why they feared humans instead of working with them." On the ground, Minji implemented the next phase of her plan. Human soldiers pretended to retreat, drawing enemy troops into trap areas. Once the aliens were in position, hidden devices activated, sending out powerful electromagnetic pulses. The pulses disrupted the connection between the Void Dominion soldiers and their hemosteel armor. The liquid metal froze in place, trapping them. "It's working," Hyun reported from her station. "Their armor is failing." But the Void Dominion had more tricks. From their ships, they deployed larger weapons. Huge cannons fired streams of hemosteel at Earth's cities. "They're targeting civilian areas," Do-yeon reported, his voice angry. "Trying to force us to surrender." Minji looked at Sumi. "It's time for the final plan." Sumi nodded and activated a special program. Across the world, Earth's hemosteel weapons and armor began to glow with a faint red light. "What's happening?" asked the defense minister. "We added a special feature to our hemosteel," Sumi explained. "It can detect and target the iron signature in the enemy's version." On the battlefield, human soldiers watched as their weapons seemed to pull toward the enemy's armor. The hemosteel was attracted to its counterpart, like magnets. "Attack now," Minji ordered. Human forces charged forward. Their weapons cut through enemy armor that had seemed impenetrable before. The Void Dominion soldiers, confused and surprised, began to fall back. In orbit, Jun and Taho's fleet broke through the enemy defenses and reached the command ship. "Send the message," Jun told Taho. The alien transmitted a signal to all Void Dominion ships. It contained proof that their leaders had lied to them, that humans were not a threat, but a species fighting for survival. On some enemy ships, crew members began to question their orders. The unified attack faltered. On Earth, humans pressed their advantage. For the first time since the battle began, victory seemed possible. Do-yeon slammed his fist on the table. "What do you mean you can't help find my sister?" His face was red with anger. Across from him, Jun looked tired and frustrated. "The Galactic Alliance claims they have no authority over the Void Dominion," Jun explained. "They say they can't interfere. But these Void people took Suma and 4 other scientists." Do-yeon had been a military officer before becoming a security consultant. He knew when someone was hiding something. "I think the Alliance is afraid," Jun said quietly. "Taho told me some members of the Alliance Council might secretly support the Void Dominion." Do-yeon stood up. "Then we find Sumi ourselves." Within 2 days, Do-yeon had gathered a small team. Hyun joined to provide scientific knowledge. Jinsu, still with a bandage on his head from the lab attack, offered his medical skills. 3 of Do-yeon's former military teammates completed the group. Taho surprised everyone by asking to join them. "The Void Dominion is dangerous," the alien said. "I know how they think. I can help you." "Why should we trust you?" Do-hyun asked, suspicious. Sumi was kind to me, Taho replied. She never feared me, even when she learned my touch could harm her. Also, if the Void Dominion uses human blood for weapons, all planets will suffer. Do-hyun nodded slowly. Fine, but I'm watching you. Their first break came when one of Do-hyun's contacts detected an unregistered ship leaving Earth's atmosphere 3 days earlier. It had headed toward a small moon orbiting Jupiter. That's where they have their secret base, Taho confirmed. The Alliance knows about it, but does nothing. The team borrowed a small spacecraft from a private company that had been working with the Norians. With Taho's help, they programmed it to avoid detection. As they approached Jupiter, Hyun analyzed data from the moon. I'm detecting unusual energy patterns, she said. And blood signatures, human blood, but changed somehow. Do-hyun looked at the screen. That's where they're keeping them. Taho studied the facility's layout. They have a research center here, he pointed to a large building, and holding cells here. Security will be strong. The team landed their ship in a crater 2 miles from the base. Wearing special suits to survive in the moon's thin atmosphere, they moved carefully toward the facility. Inside the base, Shumi was strapped to a table. Her arm was connected to a machine that slowly drew her blood. She felt weak but remained alert. A Void Dominion scientist examined a sample of her blood under a device. Fascinating, he said. When combined with our catalyst, the iron molecules rearrange themselves. They become programmable. The commander entered the room. Show me the progress. The scientist held up a small piece of metal. This was created using her blood as a base. Watch. He dropped the metal, which splattered like water, then reformed into its original shape. Liquid metal, the commander said with satisfaction. Can it be weaponized? Absolutely. It can change shape, harden instantly, even carry an electrical charge. We just need more samples from different humans to perfect it. Outside, Do-hyun's team reached the facility's outer wall. Taho used his knowledge to bypass the security system, and they slipped inside. According to the heat signatures, there are 20 guards and at least 5 human captives. Jinsu whispered, checking a scanner. Sumi is being held in the main lab, Hyun added. The others are in cells below. Do-hyun checked his weapon, a stunner that Taho had modified. We get the prisoners first, then Suma, then we leave. No heroics, no delays. As they moved deeper into the base, an alarm suddenly blared. They've detected us, Taho said, his silver eyes wide with fear. Do-hyun grimaced. Then we do this the hard way. He fired his stunner at the first guard who appeared, dropping him instantly. The rescue had become a battle, and time was running out for Sumina and the other captives. Guards ran toward the sound of the alarm. Do-hyun pressed his back against the wall and signaled his team to stay quiet. When 2 guards passed their hiding spot, Jinsu shot them with stun darts. We need to split up, Do-hyun whispered. Hyun and Taho, find the other prisoners. The rest of us will get Yumi. Taho nodded. Be careful. The main lab has special security. As they moved through the base, Do-hyun saw strange equipment everywhere. It looked like a mix of a hospital and a weapons factory. Meanwhile, in the main lab, Shumi tried to free herself from the table. The alarm had caused most of the staff to leave, but one scientist stayed behind. What are you making with my blood? Shun demanded. The scientist looked at her with cold eyes. Something that will change warfare forever. We call it hemosteel. He held up a vial of dark liquid. This contains iron from human blood, combined with our technology. It can be programmed to take any shape, become hard as diamond or flow like water. Shuni thought quickly. As a metallurgist, she understood what this meant. You're creating a new form of programmable matter. Exactly. And your blood is the key ingredient. The scientist turned back to his work. No other species can provide the base elements we need. Suddenly, the door burst open. Do-hyun and his team rushed in. The scientist reached for an alarm, but Do-hyun was faster. His stun shot hit the scientist in the chest. Suma. Do-hyun ran to his sister. Do-hyun, how did you find me? She asked as he freed her from the restraints. No time to explain. Can you walk? Sumi nodded weakly. They've been taking my blood for days. They're using it to make some kind of liquid metal. Jin-soo checked her vital signs. Her iron levels are low, but she'll be okay. Do-hyun saw the vial of dark liquid on the table. Is this the stuff? Sumi nodded. They call it hemosteel. It's dangerous, Do-hyun. They're making weapons with it. Do-hyun grabbed the vial and several data chips. We'll take these. Earth needs to know what they're doing. On the other side of the facility, Hyun and Taeho found the holding cells. 4 human scientists were locked inside, all looking pale and weak. We're here to rescue you, Han said as Taeho worked on the lock. One of the scientists pointed to a large room across the hallway. You need to see what's in there before we go. When the cells were open, Taeho led them to the room. Inside, they found something shocking. A huge collection of weapons and armor, all made from the strange dark metal. They've been testing these on us, one scientist explained. The metal responds to electrical signals, like nerves. It can change shape or harden instantly. Taeho examined one of the weapons. This technology is far beyond anything the Alliance has. With these weapons, the Void Dominion could conquer many worlds. Hyun took pictures of everything with her device. We need to show this to Earth and the Alliance. They heard footsteps approaching. Time to go, Taeho said urgently. The 2 groups met at their planned exit point. As they rushed toward their ship, an alarm sounded throughout the base. They're deploying the hemosteel weapons, Taeho warned. 4 guards appeared ahead, each wearing armor that seemed to flow and move like liquid. When Do-hyun fired his stunner, the armor simply absorbed the energy. Normal weapons won't work against hemosteel, Sumi explained weakly. It adapts. The team was forced to take another route, heading deeper into the base instead of toward their ship. There's a secondary hangar this way, Taeho said. We might find another ship. As they ran, Do-hyun looked at the data chips in his hand. He knew they now had proof of something terrible. Humans weren't just being studied by aliens. They were being harvested for their blood to create weapons that could change the balance of power in the galaxy. And Earth had no idea what was coming. 2 weeks after the Norians arrived, Shun noticed that something was wrong. The aliens were keeping their distance from humans. During meetings, they sat far away. They refused to shake hands. Some even wore thin gloves when they had to touch human objects. They're afraid of us, Joan told his friend Hyun. They were sitting in her lab at Seoul National University, where she worked as a xenobiologist studying the alien visitors. Hyun nodded, her eyes tired from long nights of research. I've been monitoring their communications. News about our iron blood has spread across their galactic alliance. Some species are calling for Earth to be quarantined. Quarantined? Like we're diseased. June couldn't believe it. They think we're dangerous, Hyun said, showing him her tablet. On the screen was a translation of an alien news report. The headline read, Iron-blooded humans, natural warriors or biological hazard. June shook his head. This is crazy. We need to fix this misunderstanding before it gets worse. That afternoon, June requested an urgent meeting with Taeho. They met in a garden outside the aliens' temporary housing. Taeho kept at least 10 feet between them. Taeho, we need to talk about this fear of human blood, Jun said directly. It's creating problems for our relationship with the Alliance. Taeho's silver eyes reflected the sunlight. It is not just fear, Jun Kim. It is fact. Your blood is toxic to most of us. If you were cut and your blood touched my skin, it would burn like acid. But that doesn't make us dangerous, Jun argued. We aren't going to attack you or bleed on purpose. The Alliance Council is concerned about more than that, Taeho admitted. In our history, the only species that evolved with iron-based blood were apex predators. Hunters. Killers. Humans are not just killers, Jun said firmly. Later that day, Jun received alarming news. The Galactic Alliance had scheduled an emergency meeting to discuss the human situation. Some members wanted to limit human travel to other worlds or even block Earth from joining the Alliance. Jun found Hyun in her lab again. We need to prove we're not dangerous. Can science help us? Hyun was studying samples of both human and alien blood under her microscope. I've been working with Taho. Despite his fear, he's a scientist first. We've made an interesting discovery. She showed Jun 2 screens. One displayed human blood cells, the other alien cells. Our iron blood does more than carry oxygen, she explained in simple terms. It helps us adapt to different environments. We can live in places with less oxygen than most Alliance species. We heal faster. We're more resistant to radiation. So our blood is actually an advantage. Jun asked. Exactly. What they see as dangerous might be our greatest strength. Unknown to them, their conversation was being monitored. In a dark ship orbiting far from Earth, a group called the Void Dominion listened with great interest. The humans carry iron in their blood, their leader said. If this is true, they could be either a great threat or a great resource. We must learn more. Back on Earth, Taho received a private message from the Alliance Council. His hands trembled as he read it. The Council has decided, he told Jun the next morning. Earth will be evaluated for possible quarantine. Ships are already on their way. This is wrong, Jun said angrily. You can't judge an entire species based on their biology. I agree with you, Taho said quietly. That's why I've decided to help you and Hyun with your research. We need to show the Council the truth about humans. As they spoke, the first reports came in of unidentified ships entering the solar system. The situation was quickly becoming more complicated and more dangerous than anyone had expected. Alarms blared throughout the base as Do-hyun led the group down a narrow hallway. The rescued scientists struggled to keep up, weak from having their blood taken. The secondary hangar should be just ahead, Taho said, checking a small map on his device. They turned a corner and found themselves facing a large door. Taho quickly worked on the control panel, his fingers moving faster than human eyes could follow. Hurry, Hyun urged, looking back the way they had come. I hear them coming. The door slid open, revealing a hangar with 3 small ships. Do-hyun motioned everyone inside, then sealed the door behind them. Can you fly one of these? He asked Taho. The alien nodded. They are standard Void Dominion scout ships, simple to operate. As they moved toward the nearest ship, the main hangar door began to open. Do-hyun raised his weapon, but Jinsu put a hand on his arm. Look, Jinsu whispered. 3 soldiers entered the hangar. Each wore armor that seemed to flow like water around their bodies. In their hands were weapons made of the same dark, liquid-like metal. Hemosteel armor, Shumi said weakly. It can stop any projectile and adapt to energy weapons. The soldiers spotted them and raised their weapons. Dark metal shot out in long, whip-like streams. Get to the ship, Do-hyun shouted, pushing Suma toward Taho. Do-hyun and his military teammates fired their stunners at the soldiers, but the hemosteel armor simply absorbed the energy. One of the metal whips wrapped around the leg of Do-hyun's teammate, pulling him down. Go, the fallen man shouted. I'll hold them off. Do-hyun hesitated, but Hyun pulled him toward the ship. We have to warn Earth. Inside the ship, Taho worked frantically at the controls. The engines hummed to life. Strap in, he warned. This will not be smooth. The ship lifted off just as more soldiers entered the hangar. Metal whips slashed at the ship's hull, leaving deep scratches. Their weapons can damage even spacecraft hull material, Taho said with alarm. The hemosteel is more powerful than I thought. The ship shot out of the hangar and into space. Behind them, 2 Void Dominion fighters gave chase. Can we outrun them? Do-hyun asked. No, Taho said grimly, but we can try to reach the jump point before they catch us. The ship shook as energy blasts hit their shields. Suma, still weak, studied the vial of hemosteel they had taken. The liquid metal responds to electrical signals, she said thoughtfully. Maybe. She moved to a control panel and opened it. Carefully, she poured a small amount of the hemosteel onto the circuits. What are you doing? Hyun asked with alarm. Improving our shields, Sumi replied. If I'm right, the hemosteel will redirect energy along the ship's hull. The ship shuddered again as another blast hit them. Shield strength increased by 200%. Taho reported, surprised. How did you do that? I'm a metallurgist, Shuma said with a weak smile. This is what I do. With the improved shields, they reached the jump point and escaped the Void Dominion ships. As they headed back to Earth, Do-hyun gathered everyone in the ship's small command room. We need to understand what we're dealing with, he said, looking at the rescued scientists. What exactly is the Void Dominion planning? Total domination, one scientist said. With hemosteel weapons and armor, they can overpower any defense, and they need humans to make more of it. But why attack Earth? Jin-Soo asked. Why not just take a few humans quietly? Taho looked grim. Because they want all of you. A galaxy-wide supply of human blood for their weapons program. There's something else, Hyun added, reviewing the data they had stolen. According to these files, some members of the Galactic Alliance are secretly supporting the Void Dominion. Do-hyun's face hardened. Then we can't trust anyone but ourselves. We need to warn Earth and prepare for what's coming. As Earth grew larger in their view screen, they knew they were bringing home terrible news. The galaxy now saw humans as a resource to be harvested, all because of the iron in their blood.